I'm going to say something that may make many people uncomfortable. Most people who pray for abundance are actually doing the exact opposite of what activates abundance. Yes, even within the Bible, there's a story that makes this clear. Thousands of years ago, in the midst of one of the most brutal crises recorded in the scriptures, extreme hunger, devastating drought, an entire people on the brink of death, a miracle happened that almost no one understands correctly, right? Or was it just God providing? It was something much deeper. A prophet challenged a woman who was literally preparing her last meal before dying. Last meal, last resource, last hope. And at that critical moment, he asks her for something that seems absurd, irrational, even cruel. But behind that request, there was a principle hidden that changes destinies. And here comes the powerful part. Those who understand and apply that principle don't live in cycles of scarcity and temporary relief. They live in constant abundance. This story takes place around the 9th century BC in a coastal Mediterranean city called Zarephath, a place that at that time was practically synonymous with misery and dry land. Dead crops, hunger in every home, no future. It was the worst place to try to survive. And right there, not in a palace, not in a prosperous city, not in a temple full of resources, is where God decides to reveal one of the most radical secrets about abundance. Because when everything around you screams scarcity, that's when it's revealed whether your source is your environment or something much greater. God says to his prophet Elijah, "Go to that city," and he obeys. As he enters, he sees a woman gathering firewood and asks her for some water. She agrees. Then he says to her, "I'm hungry. Would you give me something to eat?" And here comes the key answer. "As surely as your God exists, I don't have enough food, just a little flour and oil. With that, my son and I will make bread, and then we will die." Look, she has faith. She recognizes Elijah as a man of God. And even so, she admits her lack. Here we see a powerful principle. Sometimes we have nothing, but God calls us to help. And our first reaction is usually, how am I going to help if I have nothing? This principle is not unique to this story. It is repeated throughout the Bible. Those who apply it see doors open where there used to be walls. Abundance comes when you recognize your role as a channel of blessing. Elijah doesn't preach to her. He doesn't say, "Relax, everything will come." He simply says to her, "Don't be afraid. Do what you plan to do, but first, give it to God." The woman obeys, cooks what she has, and feeds Elijah. And, according to the Bible, the flour never ran out. While all the people suffered from hunger, they lived in abundance. Here is the key. When there is internal disorder, abundance does not come. But by applying this principle, the flow opens up. The Bible recounts that the woman's son becomes ill and dies. She runs to Elijah thinking that God was punishing her for something. Elijah doesn't respond with theories or sermons. He acts. He takes the child, lays him on his bed, and cries out to God with all his being, body, mind, and spirit. And the miracle happens. The child comes back to life. At that moment, the woman understands the magnitude of what was before her. God was providing for her every day, but her awareness was still not aligned. The principle is simple. God's provision does not depend on need, but on internal order. When you put the source first, you align your awareness and the flow opens. Spiritual order unlocks the material realm and opens the way to unhindered abundance. And when we align our awareness, abundance, healing, happiness, and God's provisions, this principle is repeated throughout the Bible. For example, when the people of Israel wandered in the desert, God sent them daily food. Manna fell from heaven every day. But what did the Israelites do? They worried. What will we eat tomorrow? And when they tried to save the bread, it would spoil. The lesson is clear. First, we have to work on our awareness. When it is in order, the doors of abundance open and miracles become routine. It doesn't come sometimes, it always comes because our mind and heart are aligned with the source. The same happened with Solomon. God appears to him in a dream and says, "Ask me for whatever you want." What does Solomon ask for? Wisdom. Not gold, not immediate riches, but clarity, understanding. And with that wisdom, he became the richest man on record, with distant kingdoms coming to consult him. The crucial thing here, you can't live in fear. If Solomon had thought, "What if I run out of money?" he would have asked for money and acted out of scarcity. He asked for wisdom, inner order, and that naturally attracted abundance. Jesus taught the same thing. When they tell him there's not enough food for the crowd, his first job isn't to multiply the bread, but to give thanks. He puts his consciousness in order, and that's when the source opens up. Everyone eats and food remains. God not only provides, he gives in abundance. Luke shows us another lesson. Jesus visits the house of Martha and Mary, the sisters of Lazarus. Martha is busy with the housework. Mary listens to him. Martha complains. "Can't you see there's work to do?" Jesus answers. Mary is doing the most important thing, nurturing her awareness, being present, aligning herself with the source. Friends, many times we are desperate. The business isn't working, the money isn't coming in, and customers are scarce. But first, you have to put your awareness in order. It's about prioritizing what matters. If you apply this principle, your life changes. Because it's not enough to know that God is the source and to pray. If your awareness is disordered, provision is delayed, or comes only in small amounts while debts grow. Sometimes provision comes and in a moment you feel like you have nothing. That's why you have to sit down, let go of the rush, just like that woman did in front of Jesus, the greatest teacher who has ever existed. One was listening, absorbing wisdom, while the other was busy cooking. And the lesson is clear. The greatest work is always the one we do within ourselves. Organizing the mind is a priority. This widow was disorganized. She believed in God. She had faith, but she put scarcity, hunger, and desperation first. She made it clear, "I will eat what I have, and then we will die." If she had said, "God is great, God will provide, I trust in Him," the story would have taken a different turn from the beginning. Let me give you a scenario you may have experienced yourself. Imagine that one day everything seems stable. You have a place to live, an income, a routine. It's not perfect, but it's safe. And suddenly, it all falls apart. They tell you the contract is over, the job is gone, they don't count on you anymore, without prior notice, without a plan B. In a matter of hours, you go from, "Am I okay?" to, "I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow." You start packing your things with that feeling in your chest that you just can't explain. You put your clothes in bags, pack up keepsakes, not documents, and every object seems to ask you, "Now what?" You step into the street with more doubts than answers. The noise of the city is still the same. People go on with their lives as if nothing happened. But for you, the world has just been shaken. You sit somewhere, look at the ground, and for a moment you feel like all the effort was for nothing. That's where many people break. Because it's easy to talk about faith when everything is stable, but when you lose security, stability, income, that's where your true inner order is revealed. And in the midst of that uncertainty, when you no longer know what to do, something unexpected happens. Someone calls you, someone writes to you, someone says, "Relax, come, let's see how we can solve this." It wasn't someone close to you, it wasn't who you expected, but they showed up. And then another door, and then another. A contact who recommends you, a friend who gives you a place to stay for a few days, a small opportunity that turns into something bigger. It wasn't magic. Or it was a divine move through people, and you understand something powerful. When you could no longer hold yourself up, God began to move in the hearts of others. Those angels didn't come down from heaven with wings. They came in the form of calls, messages, recommendations, opportunities. But it all started when you decided not to give up. When, even though you were scared, you didn't let go of your faith. When instead of saying, "Everything is lost," you said, "I don't understand what's happening, but I still trust." That's the point. Inner order doesn't prevent crises, but it changes how you go through them. Because when your priority is God, even when you're on the ground, even in your most vulnerable moment, something inside you knows this is not the end. And from that place, things start to move that you could never have caused on your own. That's the point. When you feel that hunch to help someone, God is using you. Your action becomes a channel of blessing for others. And that's why I say, there's nothing more powerful than putting God first. I've been out on the street without a penny, and still, I didn't lose faith. I knew that God is great and that everything would work out. That's why I invite you to reflect. As Elijah told the widow, do not be afraid. It doesn't matter what debt, lack, or problem you're facing today. Say to your difficulty, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, because God is with me." God is your source, your supply, your power. When you put God first, everything else fades away. Debt, hunger, misery, problems. Your focus on the source lets in the light, and what seemed impossible becomes reality. Inner order means exactly that. Putting God first. Yes, it's difficult. Sometimes faith alone is not enough. We feel trapped, anxious, with no way out. I've been there. That's why I'm going to give you 4 steps to bring inner order to your life. The first, let go of control. Disorder, scarcity, and problems arise when we try to control everything out of fear, just like the Israelites with the manna in the desert. The provision was coming, but you want to control it, to hoard it, because you're afraid it will run out. That's the first mistake. You have to let go of control. Let the bread fall, receive it, be grateful, and trust that it will fall again tomorrow. Say that miracles will return to your life. Second step, make God your priority. Look at the widow and Elijah. Do whatever you want, but first prepare for me what God commands you. She obeyed, put God first, and the provision came. She never went hungry again. The same thing happens with us. Sometimes we feel a hunch to help, to send help, and we think, I don't have enough, do it. Intuition is the voice of God. When you obey, the blessing comes without expecting gratitude, because your reward comes from above. The widow did not refuse. She didn't say, I can't, I have to take care of my son. She followed God's instruction and abundance came. And not only that, life itself, because her son came back to life. When you understand this, you put God first, not scarcity or fear. Third step, always speak from faith. Every word you speak has power. It does not return empty, but is fulfilled according to your intention. Jesus gave thanks before the miracle. Do the same. Give thanks, even if you have nothing. Thank you, Lord, for the abundance that is coming. Thank you for the prosperity that is manifesting in my life. David taught it. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Declare from faith, not from fear. Let your words be seeds that you will later see blossom in your life. Pause for a second, breathe. If you keep watching this video, it's because something inside you is ready to stop just surviving and start living an ordered life. And not everyone does that. Comment below, today I choose trust over control. It's not just a nice phrase, it's an uncomfortable decision. And those who dare to write it are the ones who truly want to change their story. However, before the 4th step, pause for a second, breathe. If you're still watching this video, it's because something inside you is ready to stop just surviving and start living with order. And not everyone does that. Comment below, my source is God, not my fear. It's not a nice phrase, it's an uncomfortable decision, and those who dare to write it are the ones who really want to change their story. Fourth step, act consistently, even if it's just a little. Jesus didn't just sit back and do nothing, he said. Bring me what you have, the widow cooked. Faith without action doesn't move anything. I myself walked for hours around Toronto, knocking on doors, making phone calls. Act with faith, moving with the conviction that God touches hearts and opens doors. Faith without action is just an illusion. Action without faith is wasted effort. When you combine both, everything aligns and the impossible becomes possible. Imagine you're waiting for an opportunity that could change your life. A job you need, a client who could save your business, an answer that seems to be taking too long. You pray, you have faith, you say you trust. But inside, you're in panic mode. You check your email every 5 minutes. You get desperate. You start to think, what if it doesn't happen? What if I'm not enough? What if everything goes wrong? That's where it's revealed whether your faith is real or just a nice wish. Because trusting isn't just sitting back and doing nothing. Trusting is acting without anxiety. It's doing what you have to do, but without trying to control the outcome. It's sending that resume, preparing that proposal, studying, training yourself, knocking on doors, but sleeping peacefully. Inner disorder appears when you try to force what only God can open. When you want to manipulate the timing. When your mind runs faster than your trust. And from there, scarcity, fear, and the feeling that it's never enough are born. Order, on the other hand, is simple: priority and trust. Priority means that God is not your last resort when everything fails. He is your starting point. You don't put debt first. You don't put the diagnosis first. You don't put the bank account first. You put God first. And when you do that, something changes inside. Because when your inner self is aligned, you don't react from fear. You act from confidence. And that changes everything. When God puts it in your heart to help someone, even if you're struggling, do it. Not out of guilt, not out of pressure, but out of obedience. From the conviction that you are not the source, you are just the channel. That's the principle that many ignore. When God wants to use you to bless someone else, He's actually preparing your own expansion. The widow didn't have enough, but she obeyed. And what seemed like the end became the beginning of abundance. And the same thing happens to you. When you serve first, when you prioritize God before fear, when you act without betraying your faith, things are activated that you can't manufacture. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. Opportunities appear that weren't even on your radar. Abundance isn't just money. It's favor. It's the right connections. It's peace of mind. It's clarity. It's strength in moments where you would have broken down before. When you put your heart in order, chaos loses authority over your life. And then you understand something powerful. You're not just surviving, you're being guided. Put God first, act consistently, trust without anxiety, and get ready, because when your inner life comes into order, the impossible starts to give way.